Let's move on to the markets now. The NSE All Share Index started the week on a positive note, rising 0.9%, trading at 37,715 points at the end of this session today, albeit on lower volumes. We saw gainers like Guinness Nigeria, Julius Berger, 7-Up, Unilever, and of course Nigerian breweries leading the market higher today. Let's now cross to the stock exchange, where David Andori, General Manager at Lambert Rock and Investment, is standing by to give us some perspective. David, thank you for joining us. And for me, what really stands out recently is the low volumes we are seeing in the market. On Friday, we saw 2.9 billion naira. Today was 2.4, so even lower than Friday. Your thoughts about this? And I think the interesting thing is that even on these low volumes, we are seeing the market move higher. Does that surprise you?
Not exactly. Thank you. It's a pleasure being with you. The volumes are actually below average. Today we had less than 200 million units traded, and yet the market appreciated, indicative therefore that it's not an appreciation that is volume driven, but possibly targeted at some of the highly capitalized securities. If you look at the securities that moved the market today, they are the highly capitalized stocks in the industrial sector of the market. You know, Guinness appreciated today. Nigerian breweries was also up. 7-Up also appreciated. And these are highly capitalized stocks, and they have appreciated possibly because of the fact that some of them are getting close to their financial year end, and so investors are taking positions in those securities.
How optimistic are you about this earnings season, which should kick off by next week? Of course, the banks will be announcing results. We expect quite a few other consumer companies to also put out numbers. How optimistic are you about this season and what this could mean for the market's rally?
I think is that optimism that is driving expectations to this high level that has resulted in the demand for the stocks of those companies that are about to release their full year financials. And also, there are expectations that the results in the second quarter, the results for the second quarter of the year, especially for the banking stocks and some other securities, will be impressive. And so I think that is the major factor behind the upward surge in the market right now.
All right, which stocks do you like right now, David? Clearly, a lot of people are talking about the banks. Are those the stocks that you think we should be putting money in now as we wait for those results to start coming out?
Yes, the banking sector has untapped potentials still, but we should also understand that it's a highly regulated sector in the market, and a lot of investors are very cautious when going into such a highly regulated sector. That notwithstanding, I am particularly thrilled with two stocks in that sector. I am happy with the stability that Fidelity Bank has demonstrated over the years in terms of its earnings growth and its consistency in paying out a dividend. It is also quite interesting to see how seamless the leadership transition in Access Bank is going on. We are witnessing a very peaceful and happy and brotherly transition of leadership from Ige Mokwede to the other gentleman who is Herbert Wigwe, who is taking over from him. Both of them have worked harmoniously together as brothers right from the inception of that bank. So that is quite thrilling, and it tells positively about the future of that big bank. Then thirdly, I am actually looking at National Salt of Nigeria, NASCON. That company has been very consistent in terms of its earnings growth, and also its high payout ratio for dividends. You know, so I endorse those stocks.
Okay, so those are three companies you like. You mentioned NASCON, of course. That is a Dangote group company. So what else in the Dangote group do you like? Clearly, they have quite a number of companies on the exchange right now: Dangote Sugar, Dangote Cement, of course, NASCON. Which other stocks in that space do look attractive for you?
No, of course, all the companies under the Dangote Industries Group, they are all high flyers. They have good record of profitability, except Dangote flour that disappointed along the line. But with the coming in of the South African food giant, I believe that that stock will be rehabilitated and should have a positive future ahead. But Dangote Cement stands out distinctly as a colossus, not only in that group, but as a major driver for the economy of Nigeria, because it's at the core of the future of the Nigerian economy. And if the incursion they have made into the metallurgical industry also becomes successful and is brought in the publicly quoted market, then everything will be complete for that group, because that group appears to be anchored at the heart of Nigeria's productive economy and at the heart of Nigeria's economic future. Right.
Let's talk a bit about the impact of the fixed income market and where yields are on the stock market itself. Your thoughts on on the impact this is going to have going forward in the second half of the year? I think there's a broad view that rates are likely to stay pretty high for the most part of the next few months. So your thoughts on what that will mean for the stock market?
Yes, thank you very much. No wonder we're already witnessing a surge in the demand for federal government bonds. Today we had over 700 units traded, which was quite above average that we have been seeing in recent times. As a matter of fact, for the past 2 weeks, trading on bonds on the platform of the Nigerian Stock Exchange has soared, therefore indicating that financial assets appear to also be moving into the bond market, the bond platform on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So I believe, just like you observed, that rates are getting higher in the money market. Is expected to trickle down to perhaps demand for fixed income on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So I see a higher demand for bonds on the platform of the Nigerian Stock Exchange in the second half of this year.
All right, let's talk a bit about Nestle. That share price has fallen back a little bit, although it bounced back again to close to 1,000 naira last week. Your thoughts about the outlook for that stock? It's one stock that I think really stands out in the market. It's, of course, by far the highest priced stock in terms of nominal value. Your thoughts about where Nestle is headed? The performance, I think many will argue, is not at par with the share price performance.
Yes, Nestle has always occupied that pride of place in the equities market of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and for several years it has maintained its leadership position as perhaps the most the highest valued equity in this market. Very few of the stocks are actually out there on float, which investors can trade upon. However, I think a lot of investors who are in Nestle are betting on the massive investment that organization is committing into the Nigerian economy. They have a lot of expansionary projects going on all around the country, and so people are betting on the future.
There's no doubt
the present.
There's no doubt the business expanding, but is the price justified at the current level? What's your view on that?
No, you see, what actually happens is not always that the market will be very rational in terms of pricing or placing a value.
Yes, but I want to know what you think, David. Do you think it's justified? 1,000 naira
No. Is actually highly valued. His market value right now has gone way beyond the strength of his fundamentals. But like I mentioned, investors may be targeting the value of the security in future.